Welcome to My Healing is Your Healing, a podcast for the woman who is ready to stop performing and reclaim her voice. I'm your host, Celeste, and around here, we don't do surface level. We go deep. Each week, we'll explore concepts like self-discovery, radical honesty, and the kind of healing that rewrites your story from the inside out. This is a space for truth-telling, for remembering who you are, and for coming home to yourself, louder, braver, and more radiant than ever. So come as you are, and let's do this together. Let's begin.
Welcome back to My Healing is Your Healing. I am Celeste, your host, and today we are continuing to talk about the year of becoming. January is Identity Month inside of the Radiant Women's Collective. And if you've been listening through the series, you already know that we're not talking about identity like a title. We're talking about identity like truth, like roots that ground you, like the woman that you are beneath your roles that you've worn. And a quick reminder before we drop into the episode, the Radiant Women's Collective is live, online, and free. We meet every other Wednesday night. We have real conversations, real women, no performance. The link is in the show notes if you want to join us and do this work together. Okay, so today's episode is called Identity Breakthroughs, and it is all about when you see it, you can't unsee it. These moments that are defining for our identity. And the purpose of this is simple. I want you to recognize your catalysts, your flashpoints, those in-between seasons that follow. Because so many women think that they are behind, that they're actually in the middle of an identity shift. And no one teaches you what that actually feels like. So I want to kind of share with you my stories about how I felt as I am transitioning from the person I used to be into the person that I am now. So what actually happens inside of an identity shift? Some moments shape your schedule. Some moments shape you. They don't just change your circumstances. They change what you're available for, what you tolerate or what you crave, even what you choose. And the wild part is identity breakthroughs don't always show up as fireworks. Sometimes they arrive like a quiet sentence that is like a heartbeat in your chest. Sometimes they arrive as a loss. Sometimes they arrive as your body saying, no more. Sometimes they arrive in a moment where you look at yourself and you think, well, I can't go back to that. Even if I wanted to, I can't unsee this now. And that is what we're talking about today. I want to talk about some of these examples from my own life. What forced me to change? Not because my story is special, but because you might recognize yourself inside of it. So one of my biggest flashpoints has been my hysterectomy surgery that I had a few months ago. When your body goes through something major, you don't just recover physically. You confront what you've always been relying on. You confront what you believed that you had to be. And you confront the way that you've treated yourself. And in that moment, it became a moment of reckoning for me. A moment where my body demanded the truth of the life that I had been living. Another flashpoint for me this year has been heartbreak, especially the kind that comes from a relationship dynamic that isn't fully anchored. The kind where you're attached to possibility, the kind where you keep trying to make something clearer than it actually is. I'll call it what it was. It was a situationship. And heartbreak like that doesn't just hurt. It reveals. It shows you what you've been willing to accept. It shows you what you've been willing to negotiate. And where you've abandoned yourself to stay connected. And when you finally see that pattern clearly, you can't unsee it. Another flashpoint has been moving. I've been moving across the country my entire life. I moved from Nebraska to Denver, from Denver to Phoenix, and from Phoenix to Washington. And if you've ever relocated like that, you know, moving doesn't just change your address. It strips pieces of your identity. It pulls you out of roles that you've been used to playing. It forces you to ask, who am I when no one else knows who I am? When I'm not surrounded by the same routines or the same people? the same version of myself. And then there are endings. Sometimes identity breaks open because something ends. A job, a season of a sport, a relationship, or a dream that you outgrow. Even grief, losing a pet or someone that you loved deeply. Those endings aren't just sad. They are clarifying. They ask, who am I without this thing? Who am I now? And then there are quieter flashpoints, like the self-dates. Taking yourself out, getting curious, letting yourself be alone without turning loneliness into an emergency. I can be with myself, and it's okay. I can build a life I actually love living, and I don't need someone else to be there. I don't need someone else to choose my life for me. And one of the biggest breakthroughs I've had lately has been this kind of quiet realization. A moment where I looked at myself, not performatively, not like a motivational quote, but with this real reverence. And the funny thing is, I was sitting in my car when I had this and I was talking to myself. It felt really silly. But the thought was, I love you. You are a truly amazing human being. I am genuinely impressed with the woman that you are becoming. By what you can hold, by what you no longer tolerate and say no to, by what you no longer chase. And these moments matter because they're not ego. They're just this integration. It's this learning and actually being able to see for yourself what your life is becoming. Their self-respect becoming embodied. So I want to talk about why life feels empty before it fills. This is something no one prepares you for. This is what I call the void. And we had an episode on this a couple of months ago. Because often, after this identity breakthrough, where you can't unsee what you've seen, you've gotten that far. And then there's this void. Because sometimes after this identity breakthrough, your life feels emptier, quieter. And you think, oh my God, what is wrong with me? Why does everything feel so quiet? Why do I feel so in between? Or like the upside down, like Stranger Things. Here's what's happening. Your identity has shifted, but your life hasn't caught up yet. When you start saying no, or you start setting these boundaries, and you stop entertaining what drains you, and you stop being available for these old patterns, and suddenly there's space. And this space can feel like emptiness because you're not used to it. It can feel like you're on the edge of this cliff and there's this no bridge as you're looking over this void. And you're like, okay, I released the old. Now what do I do? How do I get to the other side? And this is the liminal space. This is the next kind of thing that you're going to be feeling. This is the in-between. Because it's uncomfortable because you can see this old version of you that you used to be, and you don't want to live as her anymore. And you can glimpse this new version of you, but you're not fully her yet either. And so you're sitting in this like limbo, this liminal space. And you have these pockets, these little moments of like, you go and do something new and you go to, oh, that's her. I see her. This is the woman I'm becoming, ding, 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 right? And then you have this moment where you fall into this old pattern and you think, oh my God, I'm reverting. What did I just do? Like, don't do that again. But you're not reverting. You are integrating. And like I've said in past episodes, growth is not a straight line, right? It's a spiral or like weird shapes all around. Because you don't learn a lesson once, right? You learn it at deeper levels. And you pass that same tree over and over again. And you see it again and again because you're seeing things differently from a different level, right? You see it differently because you are different. You've learned that lesson. You've integrated that thing and you're coming at it from a new perspective. And this is why this season feels crunchy. And it's lonely sometimes because some people drop away or you drop away from them. And it's not with anger. It's just with clarity. And it's disorienting. It's disorienting because you don't have your old coping mechanisms anymore. And these are things you wanted to leave in the past. You don't have that old identity script anymore. You've done the upgrade, right? But your nervous system is like, hello, where are my familiar patterns? Like I need something to hold on to. I want to feel safe. But in all of this, you are not lost. You're just recalibrating. You're getting used to this new upgrade that you've done. So this week's toolbox is naming the new woman. This is getting you used to seeing her and seeing what those patterns are and who that person is that you're becoming. So you actually have an idea when you step into that void, what's across the way, and like starting to make a plan or a path of getting over to her. So this week, it's not a long worksheet. It's not even like a vision board that you have to make. It is just taking inventory of who this woman is that you are becoming. Okay. So grab a piece of paper or like your notes app or something and write the title, The Woman I Am Becoming. Okay. And I want you to answer these things. What does she value? Not what sounds good or like what you think someone else is going to like, but what actually guides her choices on a daily basis. Number 2 is, what kinds of people or things does she value? Not names of people like Angela or Stephanie, right? Qualities. How do people feel to be around when you are aligned? Number 3 is, how does she move through life? Does she rush or is she steady? Does she shrink? Does she take up space? What does confidence look like in her body? Number 4 is, what does she no longer tolerate? What is she no longer available for? What is she saying no to? And what is a hard no now? What are her boundaries? And then finally, number 5, what is she learning to choose? What does she keep choosing even when it's uncomfortable, but she wants it to be true? Or what is true? Okay, and here's the most important part. Don't treat this like a fantasy version of you. This isn't like new year, new you, right? This is you without the mask that you've been wearing to the outside world. This is you, and it's allowed. So I want you to sit here and reframe this in between right now. Because if you are in that in between, I do want you to hear this. What you're going through is not stagnation. It might feel slow because you're used to feeling the urgency or the anticipation or the anxiety. You're used to proving yourself. You're used to performing this transformation. It does not have to be this big event. But this phase right now is this integration. And integration takes time. So be patient with yourself. And celebrate those moments that feel truly different. Because they are those stepping stones. They're the pieces of you that you're beginning to recognize. But when you catch an old pattern returning, don't kick yourself while you're down. Don't call yourself stupid. I want you to say, hey, Celeste, I get it. That made me feel safe once, but this is where I am now and it's okay. Because you're not lost. You were just recalibrating. So if this episode resonated for you, I would truly love to hear what part of your becoming you are in. You can find me on Instagram at myhealingyourhealing, or you can connect with me through my website at myhealingisyourhealing.com. And if you want to do this work live, in real conversation with real women, come join us inside the Radiant Women's Collective. We meet every other Wednesday night. January is identity, and next month we are talking about self-worth. Until next time, keep showing up, keep growing, and remember, you were never meant to dim your light.
Thanks for tuning in and being here, for healing out loud, and for walking this path beside me. If this episode cracked something open or helped you remember a part of yourself, pass it on and share it with someone you love. For more support, free resources, or the next steps to your journey, head over to my website, myhealingisyourhealing.com. And if you loved today's conversation, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your words help this space grow and help more women find their way home to themselves. If I was your muse today, then my healing is your healing. Until next time.